What's going on? Welcome to the Next Level Athletics podcast. I'm your host, Josh Jackson, with the co-host,
Ryan Nelson.
Every time I'm just going to leave it as a cliffhanger. I'm not used to saying your name.
Yeah. Ryan Nelson.
I was doing some stuff with Cody a long time ago, and every time we would record something, we were doing a podcast thing, he would say something random every time. Just like literally it would be like, and I would say Cody Witzikamowski is what I would say, and he would be like, pickles. Like he would just say something random every single time. It was great. It was great. All right. Second podcast. This one's going to be a fun one. We're going to dive into a little bit more details of both areas of the business. I think that we'll split it up. So this one we'll talk about just the athlete training side of everything, and then we'll talk about some military side of training. And then we can get Emma in here and talk about some adult side of training. So offering a lot of different facets. That was one big thing that we wanted to be able to do is accommodate everyone. So have something for everyone. Fitness for us and for everyone is something that's important. It's something that keeps you in a healthy state, a good mental state, and everything. So we are big proponents in stay fit, stay healthy. It doesn't have to be to the extreme. It can be little, but if we do it, it's going to make us better people overall. So that little debrief, I guess. But now let's jump into what we're wanting to talk about. So the athlete training. What we do at Next Level Athletics, all the details of what we do, how we do it, and so on. So the basis of our training, I'll just dive in, is group training. So we do small group training focused on developing athletes as an overall athlete and not just at sport-specific skills. Yeah. So the goal is jump higher, run faster, be stronger, be more agile, react better than everybody else. If we can do that, we are firm believers that you will be a top-level athlete. If you take any of these elite-level athletes, if you take Kevin Durant, LeBron James, the late Kobe Bryant, any of those guys, they're going to perform at a high level no matter what sport it is. And you see that all over the place. Like, look at, I don't know how many of you remember Chad Ochocinco, but he did a lot with soccer. He went in and kicked a field goal in a game for the Bengals. Yeah. As a receiver, he went in and kicked a field goal, and he made it. So,
or for the old guys, Bo Jackson.
Yeah, there you go. Throwing it way back. But all these guys, the one thing that they had was sheer athleticism. They could do anything they wanted because they had the capabilities athletically to do so. And so that is our goal. That is what all of our group training is focused on. Take any person and make them into an athlete. Obviously, genetics come into play, all that stuff. But if you think that genetics are a reason that you can't make it to a specific point, don't believe that. You can do things to help yourself and to accelerate yourself, and that's what our group training is focused on. We also offer some other things like private and semi-private training. Those are a little bit more tailored to exact needs. If you, for example, let's take Marcus Dove, for example, a professional basketball player. He comes in and he has a set goal that he wants. He has things that he needs to do to be ready for his season. And he has plenty of years, 10 plus years of experience to know what exactly he needs to do. Yeah. So that allows us to go in and take exactly what needs to be done for each athlete and improve on those things. Same with the semi-private. If we have athletes that are of similar goals, like a few players on a soccer team, we can bring them in and we can do drill work and class work that is specifically pertaining to the things that they need to get better at. So those are the main ways that we train. We do team training as well, which is a little bit bigger group, same as our group training and style. So our style of workouts is a HIIT style circuit training for our group training. So it's 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. You do 8 different exercises. The reason we do this is we're able to work on 8 different things in one workout. So we can start the workout off with some explosiveness. We can go to some speed, some power, some upper body, some core, and then go back to explosiveness. But you'll be at a position where you're still able to perform at an explosive level because we haven't just continuously done that for an hour straight. Yeah. So it keeps you fresh, it keeps you ready, so that way we can pursue everything else in the workout. We train at a max of 3 days a week. That's one thing. We'll have a podcast about this later, but overtraining, we got to make sure that we stay healthy and that we can perform at a high level, because if you overtrain, that's fantastic, but if you overtrain before a game and you can't perform at your game, then you're going against your end goal, which is to accelerate your game. That's the end goal. That is what we're training for, is game day. And so with that being said, Our training 3 days a week allows us not to overwork, still have practice, still have games, and be okay. We can go less training than that and be okay and still see progress. And that's another thing we do is we will track progress as we go to be sure that you are getting where you need to be athletically. We need to make sure that we're taking the steps we need and that it's working. Because if it's not working, we need to adjust. You should never do something that's not working for you.
Sure.
Because it's pointless. So is there anything I'm missing on that front? Anything you want to add to that of what we do?
No, I mean, you pretty much covered everything as far as tracking where you come in and where you go is, you want to, like you said, I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Yeah. So if you are training, and a lot of people do this, especially people who don't necessarily know what they need to do, they're like, oh, I need to be more explosive, and so they just kind of run more. It doesn't necessarily do anything. So knowing what to do and then being able to gauge, okay, that showed a result is obviously big too.
Yeah, you want to be sure that the things you're doing work. So for us, for everyone, as they build their knowledge, we believe that you should have the utmost trust in whoever you are training with. And that's something we try to instill in everybody, is that you can trust us to be sure that we are going to train you properly, to not overwork, to not underwork, but to achieve our goals and to make sure we reach those goals and pursue even past those goals. So with that, a few things come into play. We are responsible to make sure that we give you the tools you need to do that. You, on the other hand, are responsible to make sure that you put into play what you need to do to achieve that. There's plenty of times where we come in here and somebody will come in and do the same workout that a professional athlete has done earlier that day. That professional athlete will be laid on the ground, sweating, dying on the floor. And this other person later that day is just like, oh, that was decent. Yeah. And there's an issue there. And that issue is the mental pursuit and fortitude to push yourself to that limit, which
you're working against a time, not a person. So it's what you put in.
Exactly. So if you're leaving workouts not tired, then it's probably something to do with your mental and your drive rather than the workout itself. You can make pretty much any workout difficult if you want to.
Sure. And, one of the reasons I like to say people, why aren't you doing ball skills or anything like that?
Yeah.
Soccer players come in and we don't really work ball skills. That's because, as we've seen in multiple different studies and everything like that, multi-sport athletes are much less likely to have injuries because they're not doing the same repetitive thing over and over again.
Exactly, which is crazy helpful and nice because in a world where everything is turning to single sport athletes, it's hard to go play other sports and not fall behind in that sport that you're playing. We offer the training to allow you to not fall behind, but also get to keep playing your sport and avoid injury throughout it. And that's one thing we really love about our stuff. Another huge reason why we don't do ball skill training is because, quite frankly, we don't care enough about it and aren't good at it.
Yeah, it's a totally different skill set. Being a really good coach at something is, you got the time and the hours and the knowledge to be a good coach is significant. Yeah. And almost entirely different than the knowledge and skills and time and effort put into being a good trainer.
Exactly.
They're two different skill sets. Not that one can't do a little bit of both. Yeah. But to be really good at one or the other, it takes a whole lot of time in something that is totally separate.
Yeah, keeping it in the sports realm, if you take outside of the few anomalies to this, professional athletes usually play one sport. And they do that because the time it takes to be good at that sport, you can't do it at another one. You could be average at both, and there's probably a lot of people that could be average. And LeBron James could probably be an average tight end and an average basketball player, but one of those is going to sacrifice for the other. Sure. We don't believe in sacrificing that. And so we would rather be really, really good at what we're really, really good at and let other people take care of the rest.
They've all got coaches.
Exactly. And there's people out there that do skill training, and I applaud those people. And I think that those people are vastly important. Just 100%. Like I think what we do is vastly important. So a mix of both is always great, but we always steer to the side of, I know for myself, and I know this for you too, we have no interest in ever being a coach.
Sure. Well, and it allows us to train all athletes. Yep. To think that you're good enough to train sport specific in every single sport, that's, we ain't been alive long enough to be that good at every
Exactly.
sport.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
this allows us to help all kids, all ages, and adults of all sports.
Exactly. Our end goal at the end of the day for all of our athlete training, like we've said time and time again, and we'll keep saying, is to equip athletes with the ability to succeed, whether it's in life, whether it's in sports, whatever it may be. We want to equip them with that through positivity, through drive, through work ethic, through all those things. Exactly. Fun is key, and that's one thing that I am a firm believer that a lot more people need to focus on is the fun side. I mean, sports in and of themselves began from fun.
Yeah.
And so if we can keep that fun drive. Now, obviously, if you want to go at the next level, it takes some seriousness.
Yeah, to be great, you got to work hard, and
Exactly.
that's not always fun. But if you're never having fun at it, then you don't want to work hard.
Exactly. You said that perfectly, and that's where we're at, what we believe. That gives you a little bit of an overview of our athlete training. I mean, that's what we do, how we run it, and more podcasts to come explaining our military training and our adult training. We want you to get the whole spectrum of everything that we do here, so that way you know all that's offered, all the options we have. Any final thoughts on your end?
Come back and hear us again.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.